surgeons. The light surgeons started life almost 15 years ago now in Portsmouth, of all places, in England, when I was studying graphic design, and kind of got together with a bunch of mates and we started messing around with projections and working with music. So yeah, it's evolved into kind of a multimedia kind of production company, and we produce films, installations, live performances, yeah, it's really quite a mixed group of different people from different backgrounds: animation, fine art, audio, production. There's sort of three main categories of work that we create, which would be like film production, so they're sort of standalone video art pieces or short films, installations and performances. So I guess in reverse order, from a sort of performance perspective, we've really kind of pioneered this sort of live cinema type of work, which combines kind of, I guess, what you'd call kind of VJing with a kind of narrative and original music to sort of kind of create these sort of fragmented documentary-based kind of performances. And that really started with a project called All Points Between, which we developed with 1.0 Festival in the UK and then toured it internationally. And it was really a kind of interwoven narratives that were taken from a lot of audio interviews we did with people, mainly in America. And it kind of came together over a couple of years of developing it and doing it as a kind of club night, and then it really became a much bigger, kind of longer thing. And a lot of the work that was developed in that actually turned into sort of films as well, so that it sort of became a way of exploring narrative and testing things out and experimenting, and some of that work ended up in short films. So I guess I talk about films actually. So yeah, we've done a number of digital films now, and had our work shown at like Sundance and South by Southwest and documentary film festivals internationally. Yeah, I guess highlights, the last film I've made, which is screening at a couple of festivals today, it's what it's showing in London today, is a film called Schlemazeltov, and it's about a group of Jewish people discussing the idea of luck, and kind of touches on sort of philosophy and kind of theology and belief and determinism and stuff like that. So I'm particularly interested in using my art to explore kind of themes that make people think about their lives and consider the world around them, you know, talk about social issues, politics, you know. I think these are all really relevant and interesting things to explore with this medium, you know. The other thing was this sort of installations, which is something we've started to do more and more. I guess the biggest kind of project that we've done to date has been a commission for the Museum of London, which is an installation called LDN 24, and it's basically a part programmed kind of live huge LED installation, which is drawing lots of RSS feeds and information and statistics to do with London from a massive database that we've created, and it sort of synchronises them with a film that we made, which is like a 24-hour cycle of the life of the city, basically. So these two sort of elements communicate, and as the film changes and scenes in the film cut from different parts of the city and look at different things, this kind of big LED elliptical kind of ring or ribbon that goes around the museum prints different statistics, and it's actually a massive RGB clock. So we've taken red, green and blue and turned it into seconds, minutes and hours. So it's a sort of quite an interesting piece, and took a long time to make. So yeah, and it's going to be there for 2 years. So it's kind of nice to have work that's there for a while. You know, our work's kind of always evolved into different areas, and we've pretty much, our balance of work is more towards the arts than it is to do with commercial work. And we do commercial work and we work on projects for clients, and we respond sometimes in a more of a design way, and then other times it's our own kind of self-generated projects. And yeah, I guess we've sort of naturally moved away from doing clubs and visuals and VJing, just because I guess of getting older and kind of just wanting to sort of do things in a slightly different context and have more of a critical audience, and you know, go into subjects that maybe aren't kind of quite so relevant to that kind of entertainment environment. And that sort of led us into doing these more sort of permanent installations, which is really interesting and fun. But I don't know, financially speaking, I can't really say what's better. None of them are good, really. Yeah, we're managing to keep a balance between these three different sort of areas, really, from installations and performances, and we also produce video content and video visuals for other bands. So we did like Chasing Status like last year, and we've done, you know, so we kind of keep it's like being a farmer, you know, you kind of keep turning the field, you know, growing something else and going back and trying not to just become a sausage factory, you know, and that's why we've remained very small. We've kind of kept ourselves tiny, and we've allowed ourselves to kind of collaborate with lots of different artists, you know, so it's sort of allowed us to sort of pick and choose and do projects that are kind of, you know, constantly different.
So proudly we hail as the twilight flags gleaming, who brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. All the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air. Yes, to the night was proof that our plan was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Land of the free and the home
Yeah, we decided what we wanted to be performed first. So that was kind of, we knew how we wanted it to look and how we wanted to be able to play it. So that was our starting point. And then we had to figure out how that would work technically. And essentially we came to the conclusion that we needed to have a locked backing track. And so we had this 3-screen setup. We had the locked backing track, which was the easiest and best way, which we then add to and take away from. So that's sort of a 3-screen composite video. It's all sort of glued together that gets spread over the 3 projections. And then we can add to it, take away from it, add samples, add audio, triggers. And some of the narrative pieces are more fluid and they're played separately from the backing track, and the backing is just audio. All the audio is run through Ableton as well, so that's all multi-track. So if a certain venue needs more bass or more drums or whatever, we've got control over that too, which is also really helpful with the narrative. Because sometimes you can't hear the words, you just need to give it a bit of a push. So it's as fluid as we can make it, without having to completely build everything from scratch every time. So there's sort of, you know, I suppose the narrative and the spoken word pieces dictate a structure, and they have to sort of, you know, they're in final cut, and they have to sort of be glued together and locked. So they're kind of, that was our reasoning for having these locked sections. I think this show, we've talked about simplifying this show, and to an extent we have, but it is what it is, and it's sort of tough to, you know, it's sort of tough to make changes now. Moving into the future, we are planning, you know, in the very early stages of developing something new. And that one of the things we've talked about is having something that's either more flexible or requires less kit, because it's been prohibited in that some venues just don't have the setup. It takes a long time to set up, and it just has meant that we've had to turn things down because either there's not the budget or the equipment. So something which is either more modular or at least simpler, so that we can either scale it down or you know, we just turn up with a couple of laptops and some other bits and bobs. Definitely is beneficial. Yeah, particularly flying across the, you know, different countries, different continents. You know, if we turned up with like 17 flight cases to the airport, it's just ridiculous, and it's expensive. So yeah, moving forward, simpler setup, definitely. Still complicated content, or you know, as complex as it needs to be. But yeah, 2 or 3 flight cases would be good.